Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Just Two Dads, along with Sean Francis. I am Brian Altunian, and we're so excited to be revisiting one of our very first guests from our podcast from really almost 4 years ago. Today, we're going to be talking about so many things: journey, overcoming challenges, nutrition. There's a whole bunch of things on the slate for today's conversation on Just Two Dads. So stay tuned for another episode. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Brian Altunian along with Sean Francis, and we are Just Two Dads. We started this podcast about 4 years ago. We are now in season 4 of Just Two Dads, and our goal was to create an opportunity to shine a light on the folks that are serving the special needs community in a variety of ways, whether that's coaching, parenting, lawyering, or somebody dealing with nutrition and the value of nutrition for the children with neurodiverse issues, which is our today's guest, which we're very excited to get back into conversation with her. Before we do that, just want to say, if you're catching us live on Facebook, thank you. Please leave a comment. Let us know that you're there. If you've got any questions or something that you'd like us to respond to, let us know. If you're hearing us on podcast outlets or WSTX AM radio down in the U.S. Virgin Islands, thanks for making us part of your listening day. We want to thank Billy Footwear, one of our closest friends and partners, closest friends on the show and partners, Billy Footwear. The story of Billy Price, the founder, and how he came to found this amazing adaptive footwear for everybody, for anybody who has difficulty tying their shoes or putting their shoes on or any kind of mobility when it relates to shoes. Go to Billy Footwear. We put a link on the screen. You can click on that link and get 10% off. And we love the folks there at Billy Footwear. We've formed a more formal partnership with them. So we'll be talking about Billy Footwear again and providing more content for them as well as we go through this 4th season. Without further ado, there are so many other people to thank, but Sean and I are committed to provide as much value as we possibly can and share the amazing stories of the folks that are impacting our community. Today's guest is no exception. We enjoyed our conversation with her so much the first time around, and as in life, evolution has occurred, and so we're really excited to talk about where she is today. And so I'm gonna let Sean make the introduction and bring on our guest. Sean, how are you feeling today, buddy?
I'm always excited and I'm always grateful, but especially today because I feel I've had a wonderful problem in that, when we put together the media to promote the show and to promote the episodes, we're like, our guest today is someone that specializes in nutrition and autism, how those two things work together, and being a mother to a child with autism and a pharmacist and nutritionist. And while those things may be true, she's a heck of a lot more than that, because she was, like you said, one of our first guests. If you look at the entire history of our show, the first couple episodes were, hey, is this thing on? I think it's on. I'm not sure. And she was in that stage as well and had a blizzard in her up in Ontario, Canada, where she lives, and kept cutting in and out. But we persevered in our determination to deliver. And her practice, her website, her business, her mission, and everything, none of those things, the desire to serve is the same, but the capacity to which she serves is completely grown, as has she. And we just want to welcome back to the show Dr. Tasnuva Tunna. Welcome, our friend.
Oh my God, this is like a full circle moment for me. Can you guys hear me clearly?
We can, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
this is indeed, because when we start talking, I was just this nobody, okay? And I was super excited to be interviewed, super scared as well. And I think whether the gods, they have been testing me, like, is she really that serious to serve the community? Let me check her. So I think we all have given our test and we are pretty much there. Yeah, we have reached and arrived.
Yes, for sure.
I'm excited.
Yes, and
Great.
For those that are
We are too.
meeting you for the first time, Tasnuva and her family moved from their native Bangladesh to Canada, starting over, reinventing themselves. And there's so many lessons and examples in terms of reinventing oneself and continuing to improve. So she started this business to provide coaching and nutrition to other families that may have, excuse me, members that have been diagnosed specifically with autism, I believe. But I actually don't think while that's your story, that's not limited to who you serve. But tell us about how things have changed for you personally, your family, the business, your growth. You're in a new home, all of these different things. And then we can pivot to some of the things that you've seen and experienced with the families that you've been so privileged to serve.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. It has been a very tough, but I would say extremely satisfying journey. And I really love talking about how I grew the business, because I really want to serve people and let them know that even if you are somebody who's very shy, very scared to be on public, because I am on the spectrum. I absolutely hated to speak to another human being. And that woman is now speaking to like 3 or 4 families per day, which is like a massive change. And I'm not gonna make it sound like, oh, it was so easy. It wasn't. Okay. If anybody wants to start a business, especially in the Western world, US or Canada and things like that, what happens is you will be tested way more than your authority building or any other thing. The first thing that you're going to have to really work on is your mindset, which is one of the things that I also teach for my students. Like, they have to overcome certain mindset blocks of what is possible for their child, what is not. The same mindset criteria I have implemented in trying to build this whole little business. Okay, I don't call it a business because it feels like we have this notion. I don't know how you guys were raised up, but in our country, in the Southeast Asia, business is not glorified. It's actually looked down upon. Right.
Interesting.
Oh, she means business. Means she's doing it out of the love for money, not for serving, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So having to overcome those mindset blocks, overcome those societal norms and things like that, it was really tiring. But what I felt like, there was this urge inside my belly that I got to move forward. Because here's the thing. There is always the good people and there is always the not so good people. And when I would see in the social media that there are certain influencers, they're prescribing things that could be potentially damaging rather than really helping, that got me thinking, like, I can't really sit and be shy, because by being shy and sitting in my own comfort zone, I am not doing anybody any service. Actually, I'm doing a disservice. So me standing up and telling people that, okay, you don't have to do extreme level of these chemical things and all of these things. You just can do anything from the comfort of your own home. Just go back to nature and pretty much things like that. So I hope I kind of made a little bit of a point there that even if you are scared to try anything, it doesn't have to be a business. It could be reinventing yourself, reinventing your career. Let's say you used to love to go to your job, but now you don't. So maybe there is a change in you, or the job needs to be changed, or you need to change. The thing is,
it's a universal. It's so universal, right? The idea of all of it requires a mindset. Some sort of shift has to occur, right?
Totally. The shift has to be there. Otherwise, nothing is gonna come to you, and you have to be ready to do the grunt work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And not give up. Give up. You have to find crying and seeing things crumble sexy as much as seeing those dollars hit your bank account sexy. If you find like, oh my God, I only love the part there and I don't like being trampled upon or confused or being scolded at, because anyone who does business know that there will be disgruntled people, even if you try to the best of your abilities.
For
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
We used to call it
Yeah.
we used to call it doing the dirty, enjoying the dirty work, right?
Yes.
The dirty stuff that nobody wants to deal with, right? If you can deal with that.
Right. Right.
Just
It's like
love it.
regardless of one's faith or lack thereof, you know, like they say, it's just another example of the human condition. They say everybody wants to get to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? Everybody wants muscles, but nobody wants to pick anything up.
Yeah.
You know, muscles have to be built. Speaking of which, tell us, because your part of your inspiration for launching your business was your experience and taking the bull by the horns, if you will, with regard to your son and his diagnosis and his treatment. How is he doing? How's the business doing? And how have things changed for all of those things mentioned since the last time you visited us?
Alhamdulillah. The last time I talked to you guys, my son was, I would say, started to show a lot of improvements, but he was not yet there. But now, Alhamdulillah, all you know, it's all on God Almighty. We are just there for maybe just doing the little work. So he is, Alhamdulillah, doing very good. He's fully verbal, fully communicational. He's going to a public school, 2nd grade. He doesn't go to any therapies or any IEP. He doesn't go for any special education. He's just having his regular life. I guess that was what I was aiming for him. I'm not curing autism. I haven't cured autism for my child. It's not the case. What I want to convey is he is autistic, but he is not a burden to himself or us or to the society. He is as much of a valuable, you know, future generation as another 7-year-old.
Beautiful.
That is what I have aimed for. Alhamdulillah, we have arrived there. And that is what I have been teaching. And we have had over 350 students in 3 different groups. And I have worked with some 54 different countries. And we have worked with variety of nations, with variety of ethnicity, of backgrounds and things like that. And I have seen a lot of nonverbal kids coming back to verbal communication. Kids who could not sleep, is not sleeping well, who could not eat more than 3 things, those Doritos, those chicken fry, and those 2 or 3 things. Now
processed foods,
processed food, now are eating vegetables, soup, chicken. You tell me they are eating those things. So mummies are happy, parents are happy, and we are the more we are growing, the more I am seeing the need to go further. So there was a time when I would stop myself, because we all have our thresholds. I don't know, have you guys read this book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks?
No, it sounds familiar though.
I don't. Yeah, I was say I've heard the title. I don't think I've seen. I don't think I've.
You guys should absolutely.
Okay.
I would say there are like 4 or 5 books that every business owner, anybody who aspires to have their own business, should have read or should read. So one of the things that he says is every human being, they have their own threshold. They have their own ceilings. Okay, like thermostat. You're not gonna allow yourself any more happiness other than that, because you believe that is your limit.
Right.
Okay. Even there are lots of talks in culture, like in my culture where I come from, the more you laugh, the more you will cry. You are too big for your boots. This and that. There are so many, spoken things, right? So those things used to stop me, just like it stops anybody else. But I have seen, if I can go over those ideologies and push back a little bit more, I think I'm gonna reach. So it all started with me trying to help maybe 5 people, and then that became 10 people, then 50, and now I aim to help 5,000 autism families to reach their best success, inshallah. So that is where I'm going. Family wise, like I said, we have bought our own home and you guys will appreciate it. You are in the finance, right? So I got it in 20% down payment, which is a huge for me. So
Right.
even my even
Yeah.
my families back in my country, they're saying like, we haven't even heard of that amount of money.
Right. Right.
Okay. So it's not like you have to be a money hungry person. It's not about money also. What it means is you have to have boundaries. You need to know the worth, the value of what you are giving, and you cannot allow others to muddle your mindset. So there will be
Right.
people who will come to you, DM you, email you, say you that, oh my gosh, you are doing this for money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think a lot of the coaches stop themselves because they get those DMs.
Sure.
Right.
By the way,
Right.
we get that in the financial services. We help families all the time. And somebody says, "Well, you're just trying to sell me something to make money." Like, trying to help you get to the the end game of what you're trying to accomplish. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
The good
We
thing
hear
about
it
that
all
is
the time.
if you're doing it long enough and you're service oriented, that's also part of your growth. Because to begin with, when I got into financial services, there wasn't a connection between financial service education and the special needs community. That wasn't, not right away. Very shortly after I got into the industry, I thought if families with neurotypical children need to make a plan for when they exist only in memory and make their money work for them while they're here, it's probably 10 times more important to our community. But I had to get over the stigma that I thought might exist with somebody thinking that. And now, for the most part, that's not even part of what I experience. Tasnuva, if you can, you've got different programs at your site, and I'm gonna do a screen share in a moment to show that. Let's talk about some of the programs that you have. The first one that pops up that I'm looking at here is mindset and trauma healing of mom. I'm sure that applies to dads as well, but there's a different connection there. Tell us a little bit about that.
So like I said, it all starts with mindset. The programs that we run, they are pretty much the same. The protocol, the 5 pillars are the same. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's given to people based on what level of investment they're comfortable with.
Okay.
Okay. So there was this one program, because when you want to start a business, you always should have like one main offer. Okay. So throughout the conversation, I'm gonna sprinkle in a little bit of information of what I have learned.
Love this.
And what
Yeah,
have
beautiful.
helped. Okay. So start with one offer that you're gonna really dial in, nail so much so that it can run without you having to always go through things, if that
Right.
makes sense. So have that one thing,
Absolutely.
flagship offer, that's gonna give you the name, and then only go for either upgrading or downgrading your offer. Okay. So upgrading means you could offer a bigger package, you could offer more benefits and charge more, or you downgrade so that more people can join in. So that's what we are doing. We have the main offer, which is 6MD. It's a 6-month program with lifetime membership. So that comes with all the 5 pillars and deep support. So if a mother is there, she's like, okay, I need you to tell me every single thing, starting from how I am waking up until the time that I'm going back to sleep. Tell me everything I have to do. Hold my hand and guide me through it. So that's the 6MD. And obviously, since that deeper level of support comes in, so it does demand for a little bit of a higher price range, if that makes sense. So what I started doing was that gave so much nice results, and I would share, and then I would get hundreds of parents telling me that they're from a little developing country. Yeah. So when
Yeah.
we exchange Bangladeshi rate to a Canadian dollar or US dollar, it becomes 100 times, 150 times jump. So that's a lot of money. And out of respect for those parents, because I am from a background where I have seen poverty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen people dying because they could not afford food or medicines. So out of respect for that, what I have started is a distilled version of the 6MD, which is a 12-month program. And that one, people can join by a monthly payment plan, which is $247 US, which is very affordable. I would say most of the people in the world can, if they really want, because when I sit with a person and we do a little bit of calculation of how much money they're spending buying new toys, broken gadgets, pizza, McDonald's, and things like that, They're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm already spending $500 for this, and this is just $247. It doesn't make sense. So I was
Right.
like, yeah, you can join in that thing. That's what we are doing. So going back to the mindset piece, the mindset is the most important thing. So let's give my example. When I got my son first diagnosed, every single person said he is destined for a life of nonverbalism. Me being 100% taking care of him, because he
Mhm.
was so weak. He could not hold on his own pencils. He could not write. He could not walk on climb stairs. He could not hold a bottle because it was too heavy for him. He was
Mhm.
just
Wow.
this very, very tiny guy, right? And then his, head banging and all of those problems even started and escalated. So if I stopped there and I believed those doctors and the medical systems and things like that, then I wouldn't have come this far, right? So what was the
Yeah.
thing? My business coach told me, Dr. T, what was the thing that got you your child's result? And I was like, it's the way how I treated the whole thing. I thought like it's gonna happen. I'm gonna see
Mm.
my son talk. Why won't he
Yeah.
talk? I'm gonna bring that result from God, and I'm going to do effing everything that is
Mhm.
necessary to make sure that it happens. That is, so she was like, that's a mindset piece. You got to teach people that. And I was like, yeah, it makes
I
sense.
love that.
Because
Love that.
a lot of the mother, they would come, they would say like, oh, my child is not going to eat that. Oh, I cannot feed him this. Oh, I cannot give medicine to this child. My child is this way. So I would tell them, yes, your child has a little bit of a struggle this way, but if you start believing, if the first thing that comes to your mind is my child is not going to take it, he's not going to take it.
Is not going to take it.
He's
Yeah.
not going to take it.
Yeah.
Because law of attraction, law of vibration, and all the laws of the universe, plus
Yep.
Einstein himself has said we are all made of matter, and matter atom vibrate at certain frequency. And we have even measured the thoughts having frequency, feelings and emotions having frequency. So a mom who is fearful, her frequency is 28 megahertz. So when she's vibrating at 28 megahertz, what do you think? The sun is going to vibrate at 550 megahertz?
No.
No,
No.
it's not going to happen.
No.
So we have
No.
to raise the vibration of the mom, make her believe and show her, share her. So first, initially, the starting of the whole process, I would show my son, because I had only him to show.
Right.
And
Right.
I could
Sure.
show a little bit of what he was before and where he is right now. But then slowly, as the process started growing up, okay, then there were more people joining in, and then they started sharing. Oh, this is working for me. That is working for me, and they started sharing in words. Yeah. So I would
Mhm.
screenshot those things and then share. Let's see, this mom is saying that 3 months ago her child was not sleeping at all. Now the child is sleeping. Yes, you might think like, oh my God, sleeping, and I'm gonna pay you 5,000 just to get my son sleep. Tell that to the mother who has not been sleeping for 5 years straight.
And ask her
Yeah.
how much that's
Yourself.
worth to regain that sleep. How much is
She
it
will say
worth?
priceless.
How much would you pay to get that sleep back? It has such an impact. It's amazing.
Priceless. Yes.
Yeah. There's
Right.
There was
several
Priceless.
pieces there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Priceless.
totally. There was this mom who shared with me that one day she was so tired, she just fell into her nap. And then so she had 2 kids. Okay. I kid you not.
Mhm.
You're going to have hair raising up. Okay. So get ready. It's a little visual. So I want to put out the disclaimer to your, audience. So the mom was sleeping. Then she got a tug in her legs, and then she was groggily waking up. The younger one was tugging her feet and taking her, because the younger one is like 2 years, toddler. Okay. Thank
Mhm.
God the younger one took outside to the balcony of a 11th floor apartment.
Mhm.
The elder son, he was just holding on to the banister.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh. Oh
So
my
the mother
gosh.
went on, pulled him inside, and then obviously shaking. So she shared it to me, saying that I I could not sleep for years.
I was going to say that's traumatic.
after that. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
some serious trauma there. Yes.
that's some serious trauma. So yes, sleep might not be important, but the most important thing is any doctor would tell you sleep is important, because if your child is not sleeping, then the brain is not getting all the proper rest and recovery for the connections to grow, for the brain to develop and flourish. So sleep is important, food is important,
100%.
cleaning,
Mhm.
a clean diet is important. So all of these things is important, but your child is the jockey or horse, whichever way you say. You are the one who's going to rein it. You're
Right.
the one who's
Yeah.
going to rein it. Your son is now doesn't understand what's A, what's B, what's
Mhm.
vitamin C, and what's vitamin F.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Sure.
You are the one who have to make that choice, and you cannot make that choice if first of all you don't believe that it's possible for you.
Mhm.
Second, you believe that you can do it. And
Right.
third, if you don't have a nice strategy that is going to help you go from A to B or A to
Right.
Z.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's what we do. Because I have seen the difference between the students that I don't have to really work hard on, and they're
Mhm.
getting results like this. It's because they already have a very nice mindset. I don't have to do much work.
The mindset is the big difference. So if I'm hearing you
Interesting.
correctly, you're talking about the perpetual balance between um, objective reality, as described in multiple books about personal development, but the one that comes to mind is Steve Siebel's 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class, which is a long title, but a worthy mouthful. So the balance between objective reality, right, and acceptance of that reality. So in other words, if your reality can be that your child has a diagnosis, but and that's objective, but accepting it is to not see beyond that diagnosis. And I'm a person who, as an advocate, with our show, the work we do in the community and everything, I'm supposed to be aware and everything, but I've caught myself between accepting that, oh, he doesn't do this or he doesn't do that when it comes to my son, as opposed to, well, you never know. Let's try this. Let's try that. So that's something to be said. Let's move on to the other part of your course, the gut and brain healing diet. Tell us about that.
Okay, so gut and brain, they are interconnected. They're connected to through the gut-brain axis. Okay, and more than 80 to 90% of all the neurotransmitters, things that the brain needs to work, are created in the gut, not in the brain,
Okay.
in the gut.
Right.
So
And the
if
immune
the
system
gut,
is there as well, correct?
exactly, your
Yes.
food digestion, immune system, inflammatory response system, allergy, all of these things that you guys are having or you see people having, those system. Even the brain, the gut is the second brain.
Right.
Heart is the third. This is the first one,
Right.
the second one, and the third one. So if I do not focus on the gut, then I cannot work on the brain. Because here's the thing, I cannot go inside the brain and do anything. I can't operate a child out of their neurodiversity.
Right.
Yeah.
However, you can hit the gut.
Yes, sneaky Trojan
Yeah.
horse. It's a sneaky
Right.
Trojan horse. Okay.
Right.
So I was like,
Right.
go inside the brain and then fix the gut, because a lot of the kids, they have been tested with leaky gut. Okay.
Mhm.
They will have a lot of sensory issues, and those sensory issues, no matter how many awesome way or scary way that you name them, sensory processing disorder, this disorder, that disorder, all you guys are doing is just labeling something with a mouthful of word that scares the poop out of the parent, and then you tell them that you got nothing to do about it. It's just a processing disorder. What does disorder means? Something is out of order.
Out of order. Right.
What if you bring it
That's
back
right.
to order?
Right.
It
That's
might
back
not
to
be
order.
a disease that you can cure, but it's certainly a disorder that you can bring order to.
Right. It's like if you think of the word disease, it literally means dis-ease, a lack of ease.
I'm not feeling
Yes.
ease. Exactly. Let me feel
Right.
feel back ease. So we work on the gut. We help the child, first of all. If your child is a picky eater, which about 85% to 90% of the kids on the spectrum are, to some degree, some are really severe. Like the parent has to feed them even water while they're sleeping. I have seen a lot of, like I said, 54 countries and over 350 students, right? So I have seen a lot of
Sure.
different kinds of people. And what I have seen, because I work with them very intimately. I know the height of the child, the weight of the child, what the child is eating, how is the pooping. Sometimes I will be getting DMs from parents with their picture of the poop. Okay, like this is what my child is pooping. Do you think it's helping, or that thing? So I have seen a lot of things. What we do is the gut. If we heal the gut, if we lick, so most of the kids have a disbalanced gut, right? So the gut microbiome, the microbiome that resides in the gut, it's imbalanced. There is more of the bad microbiome and little of the good microbiome. The good microbiome helps the food to be digested well. The good microbiome helps prevent pathogens, immunity. The good microbiome helps the child to defend inflammatory response system. The good microbiome also produces neurotransmitters that helps the brain to do its function. So whatever you are eating, so for example, you eat turkey, okay, nice roasted turkey. Turkey gives you tryptophan. Tryptophan then changes to serotonin, which is a mood booster. So the child is calm and happy and friendly. And at night, that serotonin is transferred to melatonin. So the child is
Right.
sleeping. So you tell me why food is not connected to the gut.
Right.
So
Right.
when we solve that, all the other things magically sorts out itself, I would say.
Wow.
And it's
Let me
interesting
ask you-
because
Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, Dr. T, this is, I love it that you called Dr. T. This is even for neuro,
Neurotypical.
doesn't have to be, I was in, thank you, neurotypical. I don't know why the words got stuck in my head. It doesn't have to apply. I think about my own diet. I think about the foods that I consume and the idea that we all talk about why we are so exhausted after eating Thanksgiving turkey here in the U.S. Right? Everybody eats turkey and then spend the afternoon passed out on the couch because of the tryptophan kicking in and turning into melatonin. It's fascinating. Go ahead, Sean.
I think it's fascinating you're talking about the journey of tryptophan because, I as a layperson know the journey to be turkey, tryptophan, sleep. That's it. But it continues down the freeway of processing as you're talking about serotonin and everything else. My wife and I were talking about that with regard to processed meats. My son likes submarine sandwiches, and there's an opposite effect that takes place in it keeping him up. Let me ask you this. For years when I heard about inflammation, I always thought of like elderly people, gout, and inflammation in a very obvious way. People with swollen ankles that can't really move and that kind of thing. But is it safe to say, because I'm starting to wonder now, if foods that promote inflammation, if you're younger and otherwise healthy, is it safe to say that the inflammation is something that if you don't pay attention to, you wouldn't necessarily notice, and it's very sneaky?
It can happen. Yes, it can happen. Inflammation can be sneaky. It can also be very, visual, that you can see for yourself. So inflammation, because there are like hundreds of pathways of inflammatory response, and there are hundreds of ways of response coming out. So even with sometimes a mother joining me, they tell me that, oh, my child doesn't have any problem eating eggs or meat or beef because he has been eating this all day long. I was like, okay, cool, that's very nice. So how about we go to because even the diet I do in stages. Okay, if you want me, I can talk a little bit on the stages, because even with the stages, so the first stage that a person start with is the mindset, because they have to get ready that they want to change the diet. The second step is to find somebody to follow. So even the free, okay, you don't have to spend anything. You find somebody to follow, for example, Dr. T at Autism Success Academy for Instagram. Okay.
There you go.
Sneaky way of telling me in. Okay. So find somebody on Instagram that you know, like, and trust, and then you start the journey with the second part, which is detoxification. So how do you do the detox? You go with the GFCF. Everybody have heard, I guess, GFCF, gluten-free, casein-free diet.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So gluten-free is when you are not eating anything that has the gluten, like the grain that have gluten, but you can eat grains like, rice and gluten-free grains and things like that. The third stage is to go to grain-free. And that is when most of the people, they are like, oh my God, I cannot give up grain. I'm a Southeast Asian. I'm a African. I am a USA person. I'm a Canadian. We love
Yeah.
our breads. So
Yeah.
that is when I give them examples of how you can make grain-free bread, grain-free this and that. And they are like, oh my God, this is just this switch. I was like, yeah, this is just this switch. And another thing is, if your child is an extreme picky eater and a little older child and you are very scared, the first thing that we do is we go through a little bit of a detox with them. We reduce their sensory issue so that their affinity or lack of affinity towards certain foods are reducing. Their palate is kind of balancing out. And that is when we change the diet. Because this is not so easy for a real picky eater, for a very, very serious picky eater to change the diet. I don't want the mom to feel like she is not doing her work properly. No, it's not the case.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's the case that the imbalanced gut is creating certain neurotoxins, which is creating this lack of, the tongue, because the tongue has a lot of taste buds, right?
Right.
That understands the taste of the food. So for the kids who have severeness in their sensory issues and things like that, they perceive the taste of food different to you and me.
Interesting.
Okay. Which is
That makes sense.
called sensory processing disorder.
Okay.
Okay. So the reason how I made such rapid changes, I would say, 4 years feels like, oh my God, I really worked so hard for so long. But sometimes it should take me 10 years to reach this much of understanding and, affinity or, fan following and things like that. Because
Right.
I tell them in a so simple way that it's like no brainer for them. Just like I'm telling you, like, it's a sensory issue. Your child is not understanding the taste of meat or potato when it's boiled versus when it's fried.
Interesting.
Plus, if your child is eating those Doritos, those processed food have nitrite sulfides, which are addictive in nature. They create neurotoxins, and a lot of the neurotoxins are addicting in nature. Okay. So,
Right.
for example, you're giving them white bread or wheat-based thing, gluten.
Yeah.
The child is not digesting the gluten properly. It becomes gluteomorphine.
Wow.
We all know what morphine does.
Right.
Yeah.
So for milk, if a child is addicted to cow's milk and milk-based product and things like that, Pediasure, that is happening because you're giving the child milk. Okay, the child is drinking the milk. You're not giving the child. Because if I say that, a lot of parents, they're like, oh my God, you are telling me that I am guilty of making my child this way. Okay, so your child goes to the fridge or goes to the shopping mall and buys the thing for themselves. And then when he's eating that, he cannot digest the casein well because he has leaky gut. He has imbalance of the digestive enzymes. So he cannot digest the food properly. So when I am taking milk, I cannot digest the milk. I am making the milk, the casein molecules into casomorphin. And casomorphin is acting in the brain, making me stay alert even at night because I'm not producing melatonin well.
Right.
Making me very cranky when the level of it goes down. So I get very cranky. So the mom gives me another Pediasure and I'm drinking and I'm calm for a few hours.
It's a cycle. Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I don't know how it differs in Canada. We hear of, and this is a whole nother subject. We could do a whole show on this, but we've heard about how food manufacturers in the United States have lists of ingredients that are in foods here that are banned in other countries. I've also seen examples of that, and not just hearing of it. My wife and daughters went to Europe months ago, and more than one of them has issues with regard to gluten and things of that sort. Over there, they ate as much
Gluten
bread
and
and
noodles,
anything that
no
they
problem.
wanted, had no problem. And since returning, my wife has purchased Italian flour and used that for baking, and they've eaten things that would ordinarily give them a reaction that it did not at all. How does
Wow.
that differ in Canada? Because that's a very common thing. I had heard
Yeah.
that before, but to
Mhm.
see them, they're like, I can't believe I'm eating this, and there's no problem with it, whether it's at a restaurant or whatever the case may be. How does that differ in Canada when it comes to the production of processed foods?
I would say they're pretty much the same because Canada is just an extension of US.
Of the
Sometimes I feel like
US.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of thought that. I'm not surprised, but I wanted to be sure
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't
The
know how
difference,
that
Yeah.
works.
let me give you a few examples of the difference. So first of all,
Mhm.
in Europe, they don't spray their wheat with glyphosate,
Right.
Roundup, and
Hmm.
things like that.
Right.
But in the
Right.
US and Canada and things and places like that, they do
It's
spray.
legal. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is the spraying thing going on. And then what happens is, let's say you sprayed for 5 years on a land and now the government has banned, but the land has it.
Right.
The
Uh-huh.
glyphosate is
Right.
a heavy metal based thing. It's not going to
Yeah.
go away anywhere. It's going to stay in the ground. So you have to deglyphosatize if that makes sense, the word. I just made
Oh,
it up.
Sure.
You have to
We know what
remove
you're
those
saying.
chemicals
that's a
from
good one.
you have to remove the chemicals from the land to
Yeah.
be able to regenerate good quality, healthier products. That is one thing. The
Yeah.
second thing is we
Yeah.
use a lot of GMO based seeds,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
hybridized, pest
Corn.
resistant, and so many other things.
Yeah.
Plus, the third thing, we spray them with lots of pesticides so that we have a better yield of produce.
Crop.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Right.
What do you expect with all of these sprayings and all of this going on? Obviously, it's gonna go
Yeah.
in and then wreak havoc to your tummy, to your
And
gut.
you know what's interesting?
So
We're going through the presidential cycle here, and this isn't about politics. It's just really about a fact. Sorry, Brian. I've not heard really in the last 10 years any candidate come up with a solution to change these things, nor been pressed to do that, because there's influencers and people that will list a list of the ingredients for a processed food or a particular product here in the United States. You have that compared to the list of products at the list of ingredients that the very same product has in Europe, and the list is shorter because half of the stuff that's allowed in this country is illegal elsewhere. So it's just fascinating. Go ahead, Brian. What were you going to say?
I was going to ask you from a practical perspective, since we were going down this path. So you have a child or an adult, I don't know, let's just say a 60-year-old man who might have a reaction when he consumes gluten from bread or dairy from cow's milk. What alternatives then do you recommend, do you suggest? And again, I don't want to get into the, I'm going to put up here on the screen again, people should go to your academy and actually get the information. But just from a simplistic perspective, do you recommend alternatives like oat milk or
Plant milk,
some just
right?
an alternative, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, you can swap foods. That's what we start with. That's the stage 2. That's where you swap things with problems like gluten. So instead of wheat, you go to gluten-free flour, which could be potato starch, which could be tapioca starch, which could be rice starch, and things like that. It's just you have to understand that whatever I'm swapping with, it should be non-GMO, it should be
Yeah.
organic, so that it's not sprayed by a bunch of synthetic chemicals. But organic doesn't mean it does not use any chemicals. It does use, but those are less harmful. Okay, those are less harmful. So that's the grain part. Then for the milk part, without cow's milk, you can try with goat's milk first, because goat
Okay.
milk has the casein of goat milk is a little easier to digest. So even if with
Got
the
it.
bad digestive system, you could potentially digest it better. But here's the thing: your body is such a intelligent organism in a whole. It's gonna give you directions like pain here, aches there, brain fog,
Right.
headaches, and pain somewhere else. So you will know in your tummy bloating, you will know actually that what's happening, whether you are doing good with the food or not. So you could try nut flour. You could go
Like
for nut flour or nut
gotcha.
based nut based milk. And
Like
the
almond
best
milk.
thing, almond milk, yeah, almond, and then coconut milk or cashew milk
Uh-huh.
and things like that. But the
Mhm.
most interesting part, I think, is even with the packaged dill that we are getting from the supermarket, those do have carrageenan, which is a carcinogen in nature,
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
and it's allowed. So, and then there's gums, various kinds of gums that helps build. So
Xanthan.
why do they
Mhm.
use gum? They use gum so that they can give you 10% of the almonds and make it feel like it's 90% rich,
Yeah.
thick.
Filler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Filler and
So
glue. Right.
totally. So you give glue, I give you glue. I add the glue with water and sugar and then some almond. So it feels like you are having the almond milk just like as it should be when you are making it.
Not.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, mindset, you have to first understand, are you up for the challenge of doing your own if you want the perfection, or going for the best alternative that you can afford?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because
That's
if
big
most of these
decisions.
companies, I understand it costs less to make it and their end game is bigger profit, but it just seems so simple. Is if you take the stuff out, yes, you now have to live with the question that most people will ask, well, what did you have in there before? But if you take those things out, it's stuff that people need anyway. You're going to make your money.
Exactly.
I just
Yeah.
don't get it.
In fact, just really briefly, there's a local pizza restaurant down the street from me, and they do wood fire pizza, and it's handcrafted artisan style. And when I went in, I said, do you have gluten-free crust? And he said, oh no, I have to get gluten-free flour, and it's 8 times more expensive, and then all the other pieces to actually make it the proper pizza crust. For the same pizza that I charge $9 for, I'd have to charge $28. And I've said, all right, well, I'll buy it. I mean, if it makes a difference.
Great. What
I
did he
think if
say?
people, he said, I'll look into it. Honestly, I said that to him over a year ago, and I ran into him about 2 or 3 days ago on the street. And he said, I'm going to have it in a couple of months. He said, because you're not the only one that's asked for it. I said,
Exactly.
People who have an issue with gluten are going to pay the money for it because it's worth it to have the health and to have the healthy benefit of gluten-free. I know for a fact when I'm heavier and I have trouble sleeping, I know it's because I've eaten a lot of gluten. And I don't always avoid it, and when I don't avoid it, it impacts my body. So I know that it has and there's so many people who are like, well, yeah, but it's just one hamburger,
Threshold.
the bun.
The threshold.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
their threshold is, I have always seen my mom having back pain, I have always seen my dad having this pain and that pain. So pain is normal. So I would rather eat and save the money and keep eating and do whatever that is, because I know pain is normal.
That goes back to what you were saying earlier when you
Amazing.
talked about, you mentioned a monthly fee that you charge for one of the services, because we were beginning the conversation talking about launching a business and offering service, and business should be about not just about dollars, but about a difference, being a solution to a problem, contributing to society.
Yes.
The thing is, whether you're a consumer or a creator, we always have to make sure that we don't confuse cost versus value. They're not the same thing. If you're paying $20 for a candy bar, it's expensive, right? That's a lot of money for a candy bar. But then ask yourself, what would you pay for relief from the greatest discomfort that you might have? And then going back to our conversation about inflammation, the human body and the mind is amazing. It's like if you ever have a car that has a noise that it makes, or a pain in your back or whatever, just something that you've gotten used to doing. As soon as that thing gets fixed and you're standing upright or your car is driving smooth, I'm sure everybody's experienced this. You're amazed that, oh my gosh, how long was I living with that? And I was just like That's normal. I've just accepted it. Why did I wait so long to get that done? It's like people that I know that have had hip replacements. Almost all of them have said, "I can't believe I waited so long to do that."
Yeah,
totally. It's just your threshold of how much you believe you deserve, because deservability is very important. Because for my fight with for my son, what happened was my own childhood was very grief stricken, very dull, and I don't know, if I remember, I'm like, ugh, I can't breathe. I didn't want that for him. I didn't want him to be sexually exploited because he's shy, he is nonverbal. I didn't want him, because it happened to me, I didn't want him to be knowing the answers but cannot stand up because I'm socially awkward, and being passed out for certain awards and scholarships, and knowing that I could have made it if only my mom would have been with me. I don't want to be that mother. I want to be this mother, because I want now this young man, he verbally dwells with me. Mommy, why do I have to eat this? Why do I have to watch this specific cartoon that you have chosen for me? Why do I have
That's
to do
amazing.
This? Yeah. And he's the same person. Even 4 years ago, if you have seen him, I think you maybe saw him while I was talking, like running around. He was still like, just there. Like, oh, you were talking. Dependent. Okay, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
He was existing. Now he's participating. Present. I have to say, and I don't want to ignore what you just slipped in there. You said, "I wanted to be sexually exploited." Oh, because I was. Look, your vulnerability. You are. I mean, we all are, but you are like the living onion. The layers just keep getting peeled off, and we just keep finding these amazing things about you. The more we get to know you, and I think it serves as an example as to what people can do and become with, for, and about themselves. And I just want to thank you for not only your time today, but sharing that level of vulnerability. That's something we could talk about another time as well, too, because you allow you're a warrior versus a warrior, and you continue to take that which the creator has given you and challenge you and might weaken someone. And you're like, okay, how does this become my fertilizer, and what can I grow with it? And we just love you for that. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And we're getting close to the end of our hour. And first of all, I just want to say, and I meant to say it earlier when we whipped into a next topic. Congratulations on everything, on the home, on your success, on the growth of your business, on your success with your child as a leading image. What an amazing story! And for us to have been able to watch I would say the beginning and then the progress of where you've come. What an honor.
It's a reintroduction. It's a reintroduction too, because this show really, and our viewers will see this, this show marks our reintroduction to each other, because now I've always considered us, and I know Brian as well, we've considered you, a friend of ours, friend of the show. We're glad to be, members of the village with you. But now seeing this and being reintroduced to who and what you are and what you're about, we're like, we got some work to do together in the future, because we've come a ways as well, and there's a lot of people for us to inspire and a lot of great things that we can do.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just call me anytime.
It's really amazing. And for those who are listening, Autism Success Academy. I put .com on Instagram. You don't need the .com on Instagram, but autismsuccessacademy.com. If you're looking at the website, you follow on Instagram, it's just Autism Success Academy. This has been really amazing. Sean, do you want to still ask the question?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
See the progress.
Especially, this is the portion of the show where we ask the following. Our ability to change the world is based on our ability or willingness to change ourselves. And that's what we're all about. Trying to make tomorrow better than yesterday was, leave the world in a better place. With that said, give us just one example of a belief that you once believed strongly, but now no longer believed to be true.
I believe that my difference was why I was a failure in life, because I couldn't get a lot of scholarships, I couldn't get a lot of things. But I believe now that because I'm a neurodiverse person, I can very clearly understand those neurodiverse people, kids, and that can help me, that is helping me keep on doing the work. And now I feel like this is my superpower, being a neurodiverse on the spectrum, being able to share. Because the things that have happened to me, I would always ask my mom or God, like, why was I this? Why did this happen to me? Now I no longer ask. Because those things happen to me, I know, feel in my body how it feels, and I have empathy towards that, and I can stop another person, or at least educate those parents and those persons that this might happen to your child if you do not start the change right now. Because even yesterday I was thinking about the grade 6 when I had a real weird period issue, and that caused me being laughed at in front of 50 boys.
Yeah, peers.
Only because I was so shy to go to a matron and ask for a change.
Help. Yeah.
Wow.
So
You've taken what happened to you and made it something that's happened for you.
Yeah. Everybody can do that.
For sure.
That they can.
We believe that strongly too. We believe that. Well, Dr. T, first of all, this has been an amazing hour, and I'm so excited.
I don't know, the hour is past already.
I know.
Yes.
I know. It's what happens when it's an engaging conversations. We love it, and the time flies because time is a construct, and when we're engaged, we don't even think about the passage of time. So like I can't believe it's been almost 4 years since we first started this, and how much has happened since then. So thank you for being here and being a part of what we're doing. As Sean said, we look forward to continued work together. Such a great story. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who's listened in and people who have seen us out live on Facebook. Catch us on our website at just2dadspodcast.com. If you could just do podcast.com, a little story about Sean and I and so where we've showed up in other podcasts, but more importantly, all of our past episodes are there. So go ahead and take a look and share, hit like and subscribe and share it with your family and friends. This information today is so valuable that if you've got somebody who's dealing with a family member that has some issues, that whether they're neurodiverse or neurotypical, it doesn't really matter. If there's issues, understanding this brain-stomach connection is really is something that's of tremendous value. So thank you all. Thank you, Billy Footwear, our partners, for being supporters of what we're doing. We put it up on the screen. It's in our show notes. Click on the link. Check out the adaptive footwear. By the way, it's for every kind of person. Every person. It doesn't matter, man, woman, child, elderly, whether you have issues with your shoes or not. This is amazing footwear. And click on the link and you'll get 10% off of some of their amazing prices as well. So thank you to Billy Footwear. As we wrap up the show, I always say, and Dr. T, this is meaningful on many, many levels when I say this. Today, more than ever, empathy and love is so important. Have some empathy for the people around you. You don't know their situation. You don't know their background, what they've been through, what they've overcome. So have some empathy rather than being judgmental. And if you look at the world through lenses of love, the world's just a better place. We are all dealing with what we deal with in life and in the world, and have empathy and love at the forefront of where you are. So with that, I'm going to throw it over. Thank you, Dr. T. I'm going to throw it over to Sean to wrap us up. Yes. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you again. Such a blessing to have you with us. Thank you to everyone within the sound of our voice. Again, questions are more powerful than statements. We need to be more childlike and less childish. And everybody needs the same thing, diagnosis or not, neurotypical or otherwise. Everybody wants to be seen, heard, know that they matter, and know that they're loved. We have a lot more in common than we do otherwise. And that needs to be remembered, especially now. We'll see you next time. If you're watching this, we love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.